After 8 years, I had to realize that I couldn't form a music career with just open mics and exposure. So I'm here to tell you why that's not going to work. See, a lot of people think that you can just easily build a following as a music artist and like pay all your bills and get your mom a house and all of the wondrous things that we be thinking we want to do. But in reality, it's like, that's not the formula. That's the reality of it. I'm going to be the one to be honest with you. Right, so if you haven't been here before, my name's Terrence Harris. You can like, subscribe, or you could just watch. You feel me? Because either way, this is a journey for, everybody who's just intentional about still growing. I wanted to hold myself consistent and hold myself accountable. So, let's dive into this subject today of like how you can't change your career with open mics, right? This is what we call the open mic trap. This is the open mic trap, right? So part of my backstory is I was originally never an artist. I started becoming an artist because I wanted to get out of the hood. I wanted to get out of the trap. I wanted to get out of the hood and get out of the trap. See, I have to realize that all of y'all are not from there. So I have to speak with great enunciation and alliteration, especially for the subtitles and the captions. And part of my journey led me to Philadelphia, right? I followed one of my friends. He had a bachelor's in audio engineering. So I decided, if nothing else, I could ride his coattail and eventually figure out what I was going to do for myself. Now, there's a few things that I want to break down here, right, with how this works in terms of this open mic trap, if you will, right? So let's just get started with some of the few components that really take away from you being a full-time artist while you're just spending time at these open mics. When we used to come here, one thing that we used to always do was travel. We would travel great lengths, whether it be 2 states, 3 states, even sometimes 4 states. I remember one time we drove from Virginia to New York for a performance set that was about 20 minutes long. If that, I could be exaggerating just because of how traumatic and exhausting it was. But long story short, that's one thing that you got to keep into consideration is these open mics may be free or a menial cost, but when you start adding up travel and the time that you're taking away from being at work or doing something productive, or even just how much energy you're taking from your main supporters. When you're promoting these open mics or these small occasions to people, you're using up, if you would, for lack of a better word, some of the bullets in the chamber that you have when it's time for you to shoot your shot with some of your own ideas. Yeah, that was a bar. Shoot your shot, loaded chambers, opportunities, you know what I'm saying? But long story short, that's one of the main things that I've always recognized, like energetically, these open mics can be depleting and they're not sustainable for your career. You're not getting the same exact experience that you need when you hit a professional stage. And that's my second point. Open mics are not for practicing. You don't come to an open mic to practice. A lot of times when I talk to artists that are in the setting of an open mic, their intentions or their sentiments are that they are not going to give their best, that they are not concerned about how people may view them or judge them, or they have a little bit of concern. They have the least bit of concern because of the fact that the open mic has predominantly other artists there. I guarantee you, and I'm going to say it the harsh way, a lot of the people who make money in music are not going to have a professional career, so these are probably the largest impacts you'll ever have on someone's life. We got to think, I'll use myself as an example. I've been listening to some artists for over 30 years, right? Okay, I'm exaggerating a little. For 20 years, I've listened to Ludacris. Now, he doesn't have new music out now, but let's say someone within that generational gap, right? Y'all let me know in the comments. Is there any artist y'all have listened to for the last 20 years? Help me make this make sense. My point is a lot of your contemporaries, a lot of the people that you're going to these events with are going to be your greatest investors, your longest term fans, and your greatest promoters or team members. So instead of going to an open mic thinking about how you can give your least bit of your effort, think of this as the Olympics or the Hall of Fame of performance opportunities. A lot of times there's going to be a lot of other artists and enthusiasts around music and art at these open mics. A lot of times, if you're just looking for a casual fan, they casually are a fan of someone else's as well. So that's just the second bit of insight. Come with your best foot forward at these open mics. Now, the third thing I want to mention is a newer innovation, if you will. So the third one, the last one, is a little bit more innovative. It's a higher level skill. So I'm going to make a second part of this video just so that I can dive deeper into this topic about open mic traps, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about the breakdown and the frameworks. But until then, let's just talk about how digital is more important than the actual open mic, right? A lot of times people go to open mics, and these are safe spaces where people are super enthusiastic about supporting you and, you know, giving you your flowers and highlighting you, especially from the curator and just like the communal aspect of being an artist. This is not the consistent sentiment of what people really think about your work. So when you make content out of these things, you can post the content and you can get strangers looking at your stuff. And you can even see how people feel about you when you're not around. See, the same people who would clap for you at an open mic, would they repost that same performance on their algorithm? See, these people say that Instagram and social media aren't important, but their reputation on it very well is. A lot of people won't repost, share, or acknowledge, or even like certain posts simply because of how that will generate some type of association. So I'll ask you again. Do you want the applause or do you want the content so that you can use the content to see what's really going on? Like I said, I'm not going to dive too deeply into that one. I want to just get into a real conversation with you to sum this one up, and then we're going to make a second part to this video. So honestly, for myself, there's a few things that I've had to always ask myself, like, why have I always made myself adverse to the traditional methods of being an artist? Whether it be getting a record deal or trying to get on a chart or a playlist, or being enthusiastic about some of the trivial engagements that we have as artists, whether it be these open mics or, you know, featured performances and, you know, collaborations that never really amount to much. And it's because I've seen a lot of good people waste a lot of good time and a good life. A lot of people want to be enthusiastic and they want to romanticize being an artist when really it's a profession. And a lot of times, whether it be the vibes or the substances or the temptations, a lot of gifted people who are really good at what they do and genuinely love what they practice lose an opportunity to ever be fulfilled or satisfied with their efforts. So I had to ask myself a very simple question. Do you really want to end up like this, or do you want to do something different?